Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. So today is the 1st of October, which usually means we do our announcement videos for Invisible Cities. We always announce the 2 countries that we focus on in any given month, 2 months in advance. And so today would normally have been the announcement day for the countries for December. However, we have decided to make December a break month / a catch-up month. So we will not be selecting any specific countries for December. You can choose either to take a break from Invisible Cities and join us again in January, or as I will, use the opportunity to catch up with some of the countries that we've had throughout 2021. The spreadsheet of Invisible Cities resources has all of the countries listed. So as usual, if you have any questions about Invisible Cities, feel free to reach out. I will leave some information in the description and the original video where I talk about it. So today is the 1st of October. And that means it's a new month for Invisible Cities. The 2 countries we have for October is Guinea and Sweden. And because I'm Swedish, I have decided to go a bit full out with my Swedish reading, mainly because I don't actually read Swedish literature that much. Something that I've been trying to actively work with, or to change with this year, I think particularly, but maybe even in the last 2-3 years. At least I've been more actively looking for books that I want to read. And this year I've definitely read more than my average reading year. But it is not something that necessarily comes to me naturally, and it is something that I don't necessarily prioritize in my reading. So I'm using this month as an excuse to kind of have that as my main focus. I will be reading something for Guinea as well, and I'm just waiting for my library hold to come through. But today I wanted to share with you my part of my October TBR. So I've selected a few of the books that I have my eye on for potentially reading for Sweden this month. These books are all available in English translation, so I will put the links to the English translation versions in the description below. I will definitely be reading books that have not got an English translation, and I'll talk about them as they come. But today I'm focusing on talking about books that specifically that is available in English. So if you're curious about any of these books, you can definitely get hold of them in English. The first one I have is this collection of Selma Lagerlöf's novels / novellas. So we have Herr Arnes Penningar, Liljekronans hem, and Körkalen. I think Körkalen is the Phantom something. It has been made into a movie from the 20s that I'm also looking forward to watching. I think it has a bit of a horror ghost story type of situation, and I thought it would be a perfect book to read and to watch the movie adaptation in October with the spooky season upon us. Herr Arnes Penningar is called The Treasure in English, and I've already read it and really loved it. It is a novella about a woman or a young girl who is murdered, and her ghost haunts her murderer. Liljekronans hem I haven't read or know really anything about, but in general I'm definitely going to be reading something by Selma Lagerlöf. In October we'll see what I actually end up reading, but this is definitely a possibility. Next up is De kommer att drunkna I sina mödrars tårar. This is called pretty much the same thing in English. They will drown in their mother's tears, by Hannes Anjuru. Oh, it's set in Gothenburg, which is actually where I live. A novel about hope and hopelessness in today's Europe, about friendship and betrayal, about terror and fascism, and it was nominated. It won the August Prize a couple of years ago. It has been really popular since it came out, and that is one of the main reasons I've been interested in this one. Next one is one that I've heard really good things about from English readers, or people who have read the translation, and this is Oktoberbarn, or October Child, by Linda Boström Knausgård. I think she's the wife of Karl Ove Knausgård, and from what I can tell, this is about mental illness and and psychiatry, which is definitely areas of interest to me. It almost seems to me like she is, in a way, exploring things related to her own psyche through her writing, which is definitely something that appeals. But I've heard really fantastic things about all of her books, but this one particularly sounded interesting to me. Next we have Gregory by Bengt Olsson. Dr. Glass by Hjalmar Söderberg is one of my favorite Swedish classics, and it came out, I think, in the beginning of the 20th century, I want to say. And it's about a doctor and a woman who comes to him to get help with her relationship with her husband. And the husband in question is the central focus of this book. So this is basically a continuation of Dr. Glass, but it is a contemporary publication. So it came out a few years ago, and it imagines this husband. It's a character study of him and trying to understand some of the side to his side of the story, I think, that doesn't really get any space in Dr. Glass. Next up I have this edition of The Diary of Selma Lagerlöf. So Selma Lagerlöf wrote a trilogy of autobiographies in the 20s where she talks about her childhood. So when she wrote them, she was, I think, in her 60s or something. So obviously much later. But she writes them in the voice of a child. As if she was writing them when she was a child. And the trilogy of memoirs, this is the first one. It's called Mårbacka, which is the place where she grew up, the piece of land that they owned in the family at that time. And it's about her childhood. I have read the third and last part in the trilogy, but I have not read the first one. I was really happy to see that this had been published in the English translation not so long ago, so it seems like it's still in print, which I don't think necessarily the last one is. Next is Vi på Saltkråkan by Astrid Lindgren. So again, much like Selma Lagerlöf, I'm definitely wanting to read something by Astrid Lindgren, but I'm not sure which one I will be reading. This is one I would like to read. I haven't read this. And this is also one of the ones that I have the least familiarity with in terms of story. I think it follows a family in the coastal parts of southern or the mid parts of Sweden. So I'm not sure if it's Stockholm or if it's lower in the country. And I think it is set in the 60s. At least I got that impression from the movie adaptations, whereas some of her books are more historical. This one I don't think was. And I think it's quite summery as well, which might not make this the most suitable for the season. But I have a few others that I'm thinking of potentially reading. We'll see which one I go for. It kind of depends on what mood I'm in, but I would definitely want to read something by Astrid Lindgren this month. Last up, we have another cover that doesn't tell you much. This is The Immigrants by Vilhelm Moberg. So there's a few Swedish classic authors that I've never read before. I've been trying to sort of fill some of the gaps of my knowledge over the years, and Vilhelm Moberg is one of those that I haven't got into yet, and would love to change that. I think I have mentioned this one before. It is a series of 4 books. This is the first book in the series. It's about a family who move from Sweden, or who emigrate from Sweden to the US, which was something that a lot of Swedish people did in the beginning of the 20th century, because Sweden was very poor at that time, around the 20s particularly. I think that was very that a lot of other countries were doing well at that particular time. Sweden was not, and so this follows a very common story of that immigration, and I'm really interested in this one, and also an adaptation that I'm really keen on checking out from this series. So those are all the books that I wanted to share with you today. I would love to know if you have any Swedish books that you are planning to read in October, if you have read any of these books, or if you are curious about reading any of them. If you have any Swedish books that you have read and that you would recommend to me, let me know. And I think that was what I wanted to say. I hope you're doing well and you're taking care of yourselves, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.